Hello everybody, welcome to the Wine with Jimmy channel, here with your host Jimmy Smith. This is an educational channel on the world of YouTube to help all of you understand wine better and to enjoy it even more. We do aim our videos towards wine qualification, so here on this series we are looking at understanding, in fact, mastering wine for wine production for the WSET level 4. That's the diploma, the scary in-depth diploma. Here we are looking at sweet winemaking in terms of vinification. So techniques used to make sweet wine in vinification. And we have two parts. This part, talking around stopping fermentation, is available here on the world of YouTube for free. Part 2, talking about adding a sweet component to produce a sweet wine, that will be only available on my e-learning portal. That's an educational wine portal called winewithjimmy.com, and it's there to help you study and understand more in terms of your wine qualifications. Hundreds of exclusive videos, flashcards, questions, all those kind of things. It's a treasure trove of information for you guys studying. Okay, so if you do have any comments or questions or concerns, you can immediately pop it in the comment section below this video on YouTube. And whilst you are there, there's a couple of buttons that you must click. Subscribe, because you need all of the information about videos being released on a weekly basis, and like, because it helps me in the world of YouTube. Okay, you'll also see social media at the bottom. If you want to get in touch via those means, then you can. Let's rock and roll, talking around the world of stopping fermentation to produce a sweet wine. It's not a very big presentation and won't last too long. So let's rock and roll. Now, first of all, let's just mention the background to it. So, of course, fermentation is the process by which sugars, and that's sugars in the grape, are converted into alcohol by yeast. And therefore, stopping this process early, and that's stopping the process before all of the sugars have been converted into alcohol to produce dryness, that will mean the wine will be left with sugar. And that's what we call residual sugar, and often abbreviated just as RS, like at the bottom of this slide. Now, this video is aimed really just at how we produce sweet wines by stopping fermentation. I am not going into all of the chemistry around fermentations. That's covered in other videos that we look at in terms of general winemaking options available on the e-learning portal. So the advantage of this method of stopping the fermentation early is that the winemaker has control over the final sugar level in the wine. Once they think they've got it to the perfect fermentation and the residual sugar left behind, of course, that's when they will stop it. The earlier the fermentation is stopped, the higher the level of residual sugar, of course, but also the lower the level of alcohol. So the decision needs to be made with that in mind. Just to give you some ideas here, there's a chart on this screen. The top part where we see the yellow bars are in fact the alcohol levels of the wine, and the bottom part really is the residual sugar. So if we are talking about, and this could be any grape really, but let's just say this is, I don't know, something like Chardonnay. And it has a potential, let's not say Chardonnay, let's say Riesling, in fact, because of residual sugars. Here we have 13.5%, okay? There is no residual sugar, so there's no red bar here at the bottom because it's been fully fermented. But if you stop it early at around 11.5% alcohol, you probably are going to have somewhere around 20 grams per litre residual sugar. It's not an exact science, but somewhere maybe around 15 to 25. So I've kind of just put it in the middle at 20 grams per litre. If you stop it even earlier at 10%, you're going to have more residual sugar at around 35 grams per litre. And even if you stop it even earlier, somewhere like 8.5% alcohol, you're going to have around 50 grams per litre. So you're going down this list as you go from left to right, from dry sort of to off dry to medium sweet. And of course, that's all dependent on the decision of the winemaker. He or she will want to make the decision in terms of the commerciability of the wine, what market it goes to, but also, of course, the balance and the structure of the wine. Lots of decisions on why that will be. We will give you a couple of examples coming up on the future slides about the key styles that go through this. So how do we stop the fermentation? So the most common way of interrupting the fermentation is by chilling to below 10 degrees Celsius. That's around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, though, you can add sulfur dioxide to inhibit the yeast from working. You do have to be a little bit careful there because a lot of Saccharomyces yeast strains are very well adapted in sulfur dioxide conditions. So it's often in combination, these processes, so chilling to below 10 degrees Celsius and the addition of sulfur dioxide to stop the fermentation. The wine will then be racked off its sediment and then sterile filtered to ensure fermentation will not start again at a later stage. That's sterile filtration, taking out the yeast, but also other bacteria that may be there. Also, just one side note here, fortification, that's the addition of alcohol to kill the yeast, is also an option. But this, of course, will radically change the style of wine because it really bumps up the alcohol and produces often different flavors and aromas. But these will be covered in the fortified section, and you'll be able to find that on the e-learning portal. There's a whole sort of 70, 80 videos available for the fortified D5 section. So what about the styles produced here? So this process, of course, is relatively quick. It's actually quite simple and quite low risk in comparison to many of the other sweet wine methods, like concentrating grape sugars, like noble rot, for example, and drying grapes. So this is often used to produce wines that are cheap. They are inexpensive, or maybe at a push mid-priced. But it is rare to find the wines that will have the same intensity or complexity as sweet wines that are made via the concentrating grape sugars methods, like botrytis, drying grapes on the vine, drying grapes off the vine, or freezing grapes. So you won't tend to find this method making outstanding wines. Normally, acceptable and good wines are very typical. There are some exceptions. There are some that are fortified, which will undergo long periods of aging, but that's also a real sort of offshoot of the style. And a classic example, here you are. So white Zinfandel, also white Grenaches, available in California, are produced in this way. So this is no concentrating of the sugar in the grapes beforehand. So they are just normal grapes that are harvested. And typically this wine, I mean, this is actually about 8.5%, but typically white Zinfandel sit at about 10% alcohol by volume, with about 35 grams per litre residual sugar. The wines are normally sort of medium dry or medium sweet, and they have a very sort of juicy fruitiness to them, and they are, you know, quite commercial. So these are, of course, very sugary and quite fruity wines on the market. Not the world's most groundbreaking wines, but of course, they do serve a purpose. I think it may have been the days at university that I might have had one or two of these maximum. I promise. Okay, so that brings me to the end. Before I give you any more secrets, that's the end of this video. So remember, part 2 will be on adding sweet components. So adding something sweet to make it sweet or sweeter. That's only available on my e-learning portal, so please jump across there to have a look and sign up. If, once again, you have any of those comments, niggling concerns, or even burning questions, please do get in touch. Because this is on YouTube, you can get in touch or comment in the comment section below this video. You can also click subscribe whilst you're there, and you can click like if you wouldn't mind too. Social media is also a way you can get in touch, and you'll see that at the bottom of every slide. And if you haven't been yet, you must come and see me in London. I've got wine schools and a wine bar. So come and see me for a class, a glass, or a bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now.